Why did you decide to choose SSBR to attain the PhD?
Well, actually, I started my PhD actually with a UK university initially, and then when they had some changes in the supervisors and there was conflict in information, I got a bit disheartened with it, so I withdrew from that, and I looked towards how to complete it better with more reliable resource support. And when I looked around it, must have been about 20 or 25 universities. And that was not just across Europe, it was like America, quite international locations a lot, and a lot within the UK, including the likes of UCL and the ones in London. And then when I came across looking at SSBR, the couple of things I found is that it slotted perfectly well in my focus of where I want to be, which is I jumped across from computer science to become a computer science based subject, but in management. So the management side built in perfectly well with where I wanted to be within my business startup. So it gave me the flexibility to be able to propose what I wanted to do and complete, and also the flexibility I wanted to be able to start quite soon after I decided I wanted to start. I didn't want to wait until 6-8 months later to start, because that's when the university started. And I did actually like the management team that were all involved. Certainly when I was reading up about, certainly the one that you would look at first of all would be the Dean, Dr. Harrison, and indeed Dr. Mallon, when I was looking at the details behind those. And I was very impressed with what I read, and I thought, what is there not to like? By the way, I'm not getting paid by Dr. Mallon to say these words. It's what I truly believe and what my experience dictated, really. So that's what made me really interested in SSBR and the professionalism that came across. Fantastic.
Thank you. And is there anything else that you feel makes us stand out, or was it really all of these factors?
It was a combination of all those factors. So I decided upon SSBR after looking at, it's a bit of a checklist. What did I want to see? There was the professionalism, there was the openness, there was the flexibility of when you could start it, and also what the PhD was offering me. Obviously, I chose the PhD through the research and the traditional method as opposed to portfolio, because I'd already done a significant amount of work. And then I was just finishing off my dissertation with the relevant supervisor, which I'll talk about in a moment as well. So the whole package gave me what I wanted to personally experience and gain through that experience as well. So a terrific experience.
And your PhD supervisor, you have Dr. Patrick Lowe, who's based out in Singapore. Tell us a little bit about that experience.
Yeah, dare I say 2 words, amazing and extremely helpful. Not 3 words, but amazing and extremely helpful in every way was the experience that I had throughout. And the one thing as well as I noticed, when you're professional, and I mean, I gained it early this year, my PhD, and I'm 58. And the one thing that you get very hard habit to get out of is digressing into other areas that are not associated with your immediate focus. And there's a few times I was digressing, he would keep me back in track. So it kept me focused, but you've got to be open-minded to be able to take that in the way it's meant to come across, which is helping you keep focused. That was hugely valuable. Otherwise, I would have digressed in every different angle. But even now, after having completed my PhD, Dr. Patrick Lowe is a very, very close friend. And I talk with him regularly still, because he's also helping with me in seeking venture capital investment and making introductions in Singapore for my high-tech startup. This is certainly going to lead to meetings and discussions with venture capital investors and other investors, like angel investment in Singapore. Brilliant market opportunity. And as I said, he's a very close friend of mine now, and we regularly communicate, actually every day pretty much.
Oh, that is fantastic. And the workload, how is the workload specifically at SSBR?
Very manageable. If you know what you're getting into and you know what you want to get out of it, you can manage your load quite easily. by knowing what you are working on, what you're delivering. And the one thing I found, which was very, very good with working with Dr. Patrick Lowe, was that with all the workload I was working in, it's very easy to also go too far in a certain area, which meant you'd waste time unnecessarily, with getting no value. So I found my supervisor kept me in touch with the reality of what I was aiming to achieve, and making sure I didn't go across, as I said, too much width, but also too much in depth with an area that was not bringing any extra value. So that was something else I found that was great in managing workload, also in relationship with Dr. Patrick Lowe as well.
Thank you. And lastly, what about the online aspect of SSBR?
Well, everything I wanted to do with, and that being an IT consultant, I live online anyway. So I found that it was perfect within what I wanted to achieve through it. The regular meetings that I had was very strategically scheduled, so we got the best out of regular but not too often sessions, which gained value to get me to the next session where I had some more questions and answers. And by doing that, you actually had a great self-positioned target to get your own personal aims to progress nicely in the overall journey itself, which indeed is a brilliant journey. And I challenge anybody to see why it's not an enjoyable journey.